Hello, everybody. Today we're doing a Jojo's Bizarre Adventure podcast, and with me I have Hayden
Hey.
and Thomas.
What's up?
Now, for those who don't know what Jojo's Bizarre Adventure is, it is a long-running battle manga written by Hirohiko Araki. It is separated into 8 parts, with each part having a different protagonist who is a member of the Joestar family. And each part has a different plot. The Joestar family is a powerful family with roots in England who are destined to fight these enemies with supernatural power. The different Joestars are, from part 1, Jonathan Joestar.
No. What do you think, Thomas?
Jonathan, he just wants to be a gentleman. He's the goody two-shoes of the bunch, and that pretty much sums him up.
Yeah, pretty much.
And he gets his life fucked up idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything was going swell, and then good old Dio comes along and kicks his dog.
Yeah, and that screwed up everything.
Yeah,
Still
he
stuck
was like-
from there.
He was like, hey, look at my dog. He's nice. He loves you.
Keep that fucking mud away from me.
Oh, good times.
Alright, the second Joestar in Battle Tendency is Joseph Joestar, which said his name right this time.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
You guys want to talk about a good old Joseph?
Joseph
Yeah.
It is the best JoJo out of the first 3, to me.
Yeah, I can roll with that.
Part 3 Joseph, Part 2 Joseph, just saying.
Yeah, there are sort of different types. He's a bit of a cocky little kid in part 2. And because with each part of Jojo you go through generations, he's actually in part 3 as well, and he's an old man, and he's less cocky, and he's a hell of a lot more funny.
Yeah. Holy shit! Or oh my god!
All that English.
I like that he looks like the type of guy that isn't gonna think that hard, but then he actually does. Like, he has, like, more strategies to his fight. Like, whenever he's
Well, he does have more experience than the other two.
whenever he's, like, predicting what his opponent is gonna say, that's when you know he's gonna fuck him up.
And in Part 4, Joseph is pretty much just
You mean
there.
part 3?
Oh, in Part 4, he's there too.
Oh,
He doesn't do much in Part 4 because
Yeah.
he's like 79 years old and has Alzheimer's. And he takes care of like an invisible baby.
And that's pretty much all he does.
I'm not sure I want to know this now, guys.
Alright, I guess we'll move on to Part 3's Joestar, Jotaro Kujo, the iconic one.
Yep.
You guys want to talk about No Personality Jotaro?
Yeah, not much to
Jotaro-
say.
Jotaro is a man of action, and Jotaro is the biggest sunder you will ever meet. It's what he is.
You need tsundere? Yeah, but he has the iconic look. He has, everybody knows Jotaro when you see Joe. If you know anything about Jojo, you know Jotaro.
Mm-hmm.
Along with the main villain, Dio, because everyone knows Jojo, knows who Dio is, especially Part 3
No
Dio.
one knows where Jotaro's hat begins and his hair starts.
Yeah, that is true.
It's true, yeah. It's probably the biggest mystery of the series.
Yeah.
Alright, Part 4 is Josuke Higashikata.
Wow, you stuffed that up.
Fuck. I tried to say his name.
Just do his first name. What are you doing?
Shut up. Anyway, this guy's one I didn't really like in the beginning of Part 4, but he grew on me and ended up being my favorite at the end of it.
Doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't he have a thing about his hair?
Yeah.
Oh, he does. He gets really pissed off when you make fun of his stupid hair.
He's pompadour.
I've seen in one of the JoJo video games, like, every single character has a unique line they'll say about his hair.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Oh my
I
God.
gotta get that game.
Like
That's so cool.
Jotaro will say like, can we talk about your stupid hair later? No one cares about.
He says that in Part 4 too. It pissed him off.
Or like you have
Yeah,
Dio,
yeah.
or you have Dio who'll just be like, what is up with your hideous hair?
I like it. I didn't really like him either because he was like a school kid. He was a bit of a bad boy. But he does grow on you.
Part 5 is Giovanna. I think they should have made fun of his hair instead of Josuke's
I
hair.
know.
God damn.
I saw an image of like someone like trying to like see how he makes his hair, and he got a fork and like put it in his hair and like twisted it around and did that 3 times, and that's how he could. So apparently that's how it works.
This is my least favorite joke.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the odd one out of the bunch too. I don't want to spoil why.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't say why, but yeah, he is definitely the odd one out. In also on a sort of like personality, he's sort of like what's his face? Oh my god, I completely forgot their names. Jotaro.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, he's
Just
not
Jojo.
as iconic. Jojo sort of already feels his role, and, yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause he just sucks.
He does.
Alright.
He does.
Everything after part 5 is Hayden territory, so we can talk about Jolene Cujo.
Alright. I can talk about Jolene. The thing that's great about Jolene is that she's the first female of Jojo. And so, like, through all these 5 parts, you've seen all these males do all this awesome stuff and do what the JoJos do. And finally, you get to see a female do it, and it's just really, really cool because she's in prison, she's in a skimpy outfit, and it's just everything's right. Everything's right. And that's that.
Alright, that takes us on to Hayden's favorite Joestar, Johnny Joestar.
Yeah, back to another male. Johnny is a really great JoJo because he's actually a developed character. Because in part 7, Jojo turns into a seinen, and so we get all this extra depth to Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, and Johnny's character changes a whole lot throughout part 7, and that's why I love him.
And none of us have read part 8, but part 8 Joestar is Josuke getting like an alternative story. I don't really know much about part 8, so we're just gonna move on from there.
Yep.
Alright, next one is the villains. We've already talked about the first one a little bit, and that's Dio, showing up in parts 1 and 3.
Yep. The most iconic villain of a lot of, like, anime in general.
Yeah, not just Jojo. Dio's kind of iconic. It's even like, even if you watch that crappy OVA, that's probably where a lot of people might have thought of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Dio's just like one of the biggest like dicks you'll ever meet, and people love him for it.
Yeah, he's just a dick for no reason.
Yeah, he doesn't really have much
like,
motive. He's just because.
He's just power hungry. In like part 3, in part 1, he's just like, I want to ruin Jonathan's life for no reason at all because he's rich.
Yeah.
I like how in part 1, you have Speedwagon, and he says something like, "Oh yeah, Dio's father was a thief and a criminal." It's like, but is Dio evil or under circumstances? No, he would be evil anyway.
That's interesting.
He says, "I know these things. I'm Speedwagon."
Well, yeah, because like JoJo has a lot to do with bloodlines, so that would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, we get even more of Dio's bloodline even after the events of part 3.
Yes, we do.
Gotta love your Dio. Alright, I guess we can move on to Cars in part 2. Thomas, you want to talk about Cars?
Yes, I do. Right. Cars being one of the Pillar Men. The Pillar Men are basically like these super vampires that they don't only suck blood like a normal vampire. They can suck people's entire bodies through contact with their own body. And each of the different Pillar Men have their own special abilities. Like Cars, for example, has like swords that like come out of his arms. Wait, do they come out of his arms or does he wear them? I forget.
I don't remember.
I have no idea. It's been too long.
But even though the Pillar Men are so much powerful than normal vampires, is that good enough for them? Oh, no. Because even though they're more powerful, they still will die in sunlight. So they want to fix that by combining the power of this red stone and the power of the stone mask, which Cars created for the purpose of taking away their weakness of sunlight and making them the ultimate being. And when Cars becomes the ultimate being, he can like turn his hand into a squirrel, and the squirrel can kill like an armed squadron of Nazi German soldiers into dubstep. He can never look at squirrels the same way anymore.
What are you doing, Jojo? What are you doing in Thomas's brain?
Fucking squirrels, man.
Alright,
I guess we can move on. We can move on to part 4 now. Let's talk about Kira.
Hell yeah.
Kira actually has a purpose to be evil. He's a serial killer, for one thing. Like, when we were first introduced to this guy, he's in a car with this random woman, but it's not really a woman, it's just her hand.
Yeah, it's kind of screwed up.
Like, we learn things like, these one group of people he killed, they're like waiting for him to die so they can like torment him.
Damn.
And he's capable of like altering like his look, so in case people try to figure out about him, they'll have no leads, so they'll just change his look.
Yeah, that really confused me. I thought it was a different guy.
No, I was like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, so he doesn't let fat children mess with him, because he will kill them. In schools, too. This guy's just a total badass.
Yeah, he doesn't mess around.
Alright.
Yep.
Part 5's villain, I can never remember his name, because I just don't give a shit about him.
Yep.
He's like In part 5, it's about gangsters, and he's the boss of a gang that Giovanna wants to join, and they have to get to him. But you have to like do missions and shit, or you can't get to him because like this very tough like hierarchy in it. So when we get to the fight, we get the impossible Santa that makes no sense at all. There's not much of him.
Yeah,
and the rest is
I like him.
rest is Hayden's territory.
Yep. So part 6's villain is a guy called Enrico Pucci, and he is a priest, and he is absolutely badass. Like, I don't know, like, it's basically, you take Jojo's, like, amazing, like, uniqueness, and you take a priest, and you mesh them together, and you get this guy, and he's really cool. He basically has this, backstory with Dio. So Dio is actually, throughout Jojo, he's always present, even though he's not always alive. And so there's some interesting backstory there. And part 7's villain is a guy called Funny Valentine. Yeah. He's basically this evil dictator guy. He is actually the 23rd president of the United States. And so there's some interesting stuff going on there. Yeah, I know. So it's kind of weird. Because he has all this power, right, being the president. It's kind of cool, really. And
so you're saying he's Benjamin Harrison, who is
I have no idea. I have no idea who that is.
That's the real 23rd president of the United States. I just looked it up.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I guess. I don't know. I have no idea. In the Jojo universe,
I was just making a joke.
Okay. I'm not American, so I have no idea about that.
Alright, we move on to the next part, and that would be the art style. The Jojo art style takes quite a change from the part 1 through 3 to part 4 onward. Jojo in the beginning was made in the 80s, and a lot of the things in the 80s was, you got the buffed Western actors like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger took influence from that, as well as the manga character designs in Fist of the North Star. So you got these really out of proportion buff-ass dudes in these first 3 parts. And then like part 4 and onward, Araki's style began to change, and you got something that was very unique to him, that I've yet to see another manga have that kind of art style. I can't really just explain how unique these guys are. I can't explain it. How about you guys?
Yeah, well, I mean, we could probably put pictures up on the podcast so that people can sort of see if they don't really know already. People sort of know, like, you'll see Araki's art style on the internet, and you'll know that it's his.
Yeah.
I noticed a lot of the characters, like, they have, like, he's like, this unique style to the lip.
Yeah.
That's one thing that stands out to me.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of people can get put off by the second half if they never, like, read it or anything. It does take some time to get used to after
it does.
You see buff-ass dudes.
Yeah, it definitely changes its tone and really everything that it's about, but I think that's good for a series. If it can change and really mold into its own skin, that's a great thing. And Jojo does it really, really well.
Anything else you guys want to add?
Nope.
I heard someone tell me that Araki is actually also a fashion designer.
Yeah, I've heard that too, but I have no idea. I guess it could make sense if you look at the clothes they wear.
Well, yeah, they get kind of crazy, so that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it would not surprise me either.
Alright, we're going to move on to the part that's going to take up most of the time. And that is the 2 power systems in JoJo. The first power system is Hamon, which Thomas is going to explain.
You got Hamon, literally meaning ripple, also known as Sendo, the way of the hermit or wizard. Hamon is like this martial arts that they gain by a certain way of breathing, and it allows a person to use energy from the sun so they can use it in opposition against vampires. And in the first 2 parts, you got lots of people who, that's how everyone fights with it. Does things like, it's highly conductive in things like liquids. It travels through it really well, and you'll see it be used in all these different unique ways, where honestly it's never like really explained all too well, but you just see all the different things that it can do. Like you have in part 2 where Joseph first meets Caesar, and Caesar's like, "Hey, you're so weak, this random girl can beat you up," and Caesar uses his Hamon to start controlling her like puppet, and she starts kicking Joseph's ass. But then what Joseph does is use Hamon on a pigeon, to sticks it in the girl's mouth. And because he knew that Caesar would have to kiss this girl again to remove his seal. That's when the pigeon flies out and goes in Caesar's mouth. Nobody expects the pigeon, but now they do because I just told them.
So squirrels and pigeons, right?
Squirrels and pigeons.
Great.
Alright. Are you done talking? Explaining how
I
Yeah,
think that's
sounds
enough.
like it.
I think that's enough.
Alright. In part 3 and onwards, we get a new power system that the imagination in this one out of this world. That's why Jojo is this long, and I'll let Hayden explain it.
Yep. Alright, so at the end of part 2, Araki's basically used this Hamon idea to pretty much what he thinks its fullest. There's not really much he can take out of it. And so he comes up with this new idea called stands. And I'll just explain them for people who don't know what they are. A stand is basically there to protect its user, so it'll guard them from harm whether you want it to or not. They basically work as a special power for the series. Like in a lot of shonen, you'll have things like Nen, Devil Fruits, and Ninjutsu, etc., etc. And you'll note that all those sort of abilities are basically infinite. You can have all this amazing variety, and that's what Jojo needed, and that's what it's got now. They're called stands because they actually do stand by you a lot of the time, and they're also a part of you as well. So if one gets hurt or if one feels something, you will actually feel that as well. It resonates with you, so it makes for some really interesting dynamics there. What's some other things? Only stand users.
The different types.
Yeah, I'll get to that. I just want to say that, yeah, only stand users can see stands, and yeah, they actually do take on a physical form, so like not everyday people can see them. And also, the further a stand is away from you, the weaker it gets. So you want to keep it close by you, because it's, you know, like a guardian. And yeah, lastly, there's just a whole heap of different types of stands that will range from being like long range to short range. Generally, because it's closer to you, it's stronger. The shorter range, you're going to have a lot of strength. And they'll also range in what they look like. So a lot of them will look like sort of humanoid, and then they can range from anything to like liquids or shadows or really anything.
Or ships.
And or ships, yeah. Yeah, and I think that's basically stands there. But yeah, there's just Jojo's power system.
We're going to talk about some of the stands. Not all of them, because there's like 80 different types of stands, but only quite a few. The first one I will talk about is Red Hot Chili Peppers. Not to be confused with the band. Red Hot Chili Peppers is a stand in part 4 who I originally thought was the main antagonist stand, because
Really?
in the beginning we see this guy quite a bit.
I guess.
It was before I even saw Kira.
Yeah.
At all. This is an electricity stand. It can absorb electricity, including into raw strength, moving, healing its wounds, levitating, cover itself in an electric coat.
So basically, yeah, like if it has electricity nearby, it's pretty much invincible.
Yeah, but it must stay near electricity or the power depletes.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has electric transmission. It can pass through electric systems, including power wires or batteries at light speed. It can hold into an object, it can turn into electricity, move it to where it desires, and it has an electric mode. It can absorb large quantities of electricity before turning into this mode. Once this mode is activated, it is immune to attacks, as they pass harmlessly through its now intangible body. Also can move even faster than it already was, electrocute anyone it touches.
So yeah, basically every stand is pretty much overpowered.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, you wanna talk about one now, Thomas?
The first stand I want to talk about is Anubis, because I thought Anubis was really unique, that instead of a person controlling it controls person. And it looks like just a sword, but then it also has this spirit looking for him that...
It's basically a cursed sword.
Yeah, it's inside the sword, and it looks like a depiction of Anubis, the Egyptian god of death. And I thought it was really unique that Anubis has actually existed for a long time, and apparently he did have an original user, but his user died, but he still exists. So that tells you that stands can exist beyond their original users. And also, I thought it was really cool that he can he's a sword and he can choose to phase through certain objects. So say he's having a sword fight with another dude, he can, and you try and block him with your sword, he can just phase through your sword and kill you. Also, he's one of the few stands that I felt put up an actual fight against Jotaro, because usually it's either one of the other guys have a hard time fighting someone, or they just have to figure out how they hurt this person, or just wait till Jotaro gets there to kick their ass.
It's usually how it goes.
Yeah, very true.
Even Jotaro says that Anubis is one of the most powerful stands that they fought so far, and he's constantly learning from their fights, learning their abilities, so the same attacks aren't going to keep working on them. So that's a problem for them.
Yeah, because Polnareff had a problem with that, putting him because he started to learn how he fought.
That's why Polnareff had to bust out his new move where he freaking shoots out the blade of his sword. He's like,
from a blind spot.
By the way, guys, I could do this all along.
Well, I can do this, but I never decided to do this until I really needed to.
Yeah, well, it's like a trump card for him.
I can think of a couple of times he probably would have been useful.
Yeah.
But you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
It's him.
Whatever.
Oh well. Anyway, I'll talk about one. The one I want to talk about is Highway Star, which is a stand from Part 4. And I love this guy's design. He's really cool. He looks like a person, right? And he's all purple, but he's body parts they're separated by chunks. It's really hard to explain. We can probably show a picture on the podcast of him. But
Yeah, I will.
yeah, and he's really, really sweet because he has a few different abilities. One, he's got this probably the fastest speed of all stands that I know of, in that he can move from up to 60 kilometers an hour, and not only that, he can move long range away from its user, so he doesn't lose power as he moves away from the user. So that's really insane. And then not only that, when Highway Star catches up to someone that obviously the user's trying to kill or whatever, he can suck the nutrients out of its victim and transfer those nutrients back to its host. So not only can the user heal, he can kill someone at the same time, which is kind of crazy. And
I think his weirdest ability is how he can create this magical room anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. When we see them, I mean, you'll explain when we talk about the fights, but yeah, we'll go into that, how they meet them actually in the highway. Yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah, he's cool.
The next thing I want to talk about is Yosuke's stand, and that is Crazy Diamond. Oh, I love it. This is a short range stand. It only has 2 meters to where it can actually do anything. But what's cool about this stand is he can restore anything. He can store any objects, organisms, to any previous state in history. It can damage something and just heal it right back up like nothing happened. Revert chemical changes in complex structures or raw components. And fuse objects such as you can take a person, take a rock, and put them together. It's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also really strong because it has such a small range. It's one of the super strength stands that has a really weird battle cry, which is I think something like that. And it's really fast. It can punch at 360 kilometers per hour.
That's pretty damn fast.
Yeah.
That's an understatement.
Alright, that's all I can say about him. Okay, your turn, Thomas.
Alright, the other stand I want to talk about is Basset. Or no, yeah, that's it, Basset. Where
That's it.
It just looks like an electrical outlet, right? And what happens is when you touch it, it starts creating this magnetic, you become a big old magnet, and the more time that passes, that magnetism just keeps growing. So you have when Joseph encounters this outlet, it's just stuck on a boulder in the middle of the desert, middle of nowhere. He's like, well, what the fuck is this? And he touches it, and he's like, shit, it shocked me. He was like, well, that's peculiar. I'm just gonna walk away now. So all day things start just sticking to him. You'll have all these bottle caps start sticking all over his back, and see, he doesn't start noticing it until like chairs start flying at him. So he's like, yeah, so like something's wrong. And then like he falls down this escalator, and like he's stuck to the escalator, and he's freaking out like, oh my god, I'm gonna get crushed. No, no. Then Abdul just comes and like turns off the escalator, and he's still freaking out like, ah. Everyone's just staring at him like, what the fuck?
Fucking idiot.
He's a fucking idiot. And then he's like, oh yeah, I'm just inspecting this escalator. It works fine. Yeah, so it got me downstairs. So then you have like Abdul, who also had just touched the same electrical outlet. So they're both magnets, and now they're just sticking to each other, and we have to walk around when they're like stuck together, and then they get in some pretty awkward looking positions. Like,
yeah, they do.
Like, it's just hilarious. And then they like I really like this fight in this episode, because you get to see Joseph in action again, and you get to see, even though like his stand isn't really suited for combat, you get to see him use it for combat a little bit in this certain situation, which he was able to use it like that. And
yeah, it was a pretty good fight. I really liked it. It was really funny.
It was like when I was watching this at my friend's house, and they had like this thing like where like they'd run at each other as like at this time where like these two cars are just getting pulled towards them, and then they kind of like get out the way at the last second, and then just smash right into the stand user, and it like crushes her, and like you see her arms all twitching, and then like you see the text go like, oh, hospitalized, she retired. And my friend's like, nah, she fucking died.
Yeah, it looked pretty harsh.
That looked painful. I wouldn't want to be her.
Oh no. Alright, I'll talk about one last one for me. I want to talk about Enigma. Enigma's another one from part 4. I actually find that part 4 and 5 just, to me, have some of the most unique and really cool stands. And what Enigma can do is he can really only do one thing, and that is it can trap anything it wants into a piece of paper, and then when it folds that piece of paper, it can keep it like for as long as it wants, in the state that it was in. So say there's like a hot bowl of noodles, and he can actually like put that noodles into the paper, fold it up, and then it'll stay hot. It'll stay in its original state until he takes it out. And he can do this for anything, like from like noodles to people to whatever. And the only thing is, if the paper is like creased or ripped, that will actually damage what's inside. So like he can like get a person, chuck it in the paper, and like rip it up, and that person would be dead basically. And so it's kind of really, really cool. It has some really interesting uses. It's not really the most overpowered ability, but the way that it's used in the fights is really unique, and it creates some really cool fights.
Alright, now we can talk about some of our favorite fights in Jojo. I'll go first. The first one I want to talk about is Highway Star versus Crazy Dive. But before we talk about the fight, I want to talk about how it got set up. Okay, on part 4, one of the main like crew people, his name is Rohan, and he's a mangaka. Him and Josuke were on a bus, and they went under this tunnel. And all of a sudden, he started to see, like, he was in this room out of, like, nowhere. And, he was, like, gonna get attacked. And, Josuke wouldn't believe him, so when they got off the bus, he went back to go look for that room. And, he eventually found it, and Highway Scar got his scent and started sucking out the energy from him. Then Josuke magically, came out of nowhere, because he apparently wanted to check out the tunnel too. And well, he saw that there's a stand, and he entered that room, so Highway Star got his scent, and what he did, he got a motorcycle, and he just got the fuck out of it.
Yeah, because remember, this stand moves at 60 kilometers an hour, so if you're not in a vehicle, you're pretty much dead.
So he was trying to get the hell out of there, to get as far away as possible, because he found out that he can run at 60 kilometers per hour. So he's trying to get out of there, but when he gets to the town, he's trying to get his cell phone, because he wants to get a hold of one of the other members, Koichi, because his stand echoes can track them, so he can go track the user and try to hurt him. So it's kind of funny, because he's trying to take cell phones from people on the road while he's driving, because He tried to stop and use a payphone because he was going like 80 kilometers per hour. And once he went to go dial the phone, he just saw footprints right behind him, and there was Highway Star right on his track. He's like, oh shit. So he gets on his bike and just darts. He steals this first guy's cell phone, and the guy was about to make $1 billion. So he took the phone, he's like, oh shit.
It's pretty funny.
And then, while he took the phone, he ended up breaking it. And then then he walks a little farther, and he saw another guy, he took his phone, he was just like, trying to make a call, but he took the phone, and he was on then after that, he was on the motorcycle, he was about to crash into a baby's carriage. So he jumps it, but while he's jumping it, he destroys his own bike. Then mid-air, after he passes the baby, rebuilds the bike. Goes on his merry way.
That was so cool.
I know.
I absolutely love that.
At that point, he's already called Koichi, tracked them, and I found out he's in a hospital. So he's trying to get to a hospital, but he's near, like, the ocean. So he's trying to find all these different ways, and he got to a dead end, and he had to go, like, zip really quickly, turn out of there. Well, before Highway Star can catch up to him, which he eventually did. Then he had nowhere to go, because every turn he went, there was ocean. So to trick Highway Star, he broke a wall, went inside the wall, rebuilt the wall, tried to get Highway Star. But Highway Star, took his body parts together, went on top, and destroyed it. Josuke, goes to the ocean, because he noticed that there was garbage out, so he went into a sewer. And he's fucking lost. And at this point, his motorcycle ran out of gas. So luckily he was at the end of the sewer, but he went over there, smashed some car that just happened to be right in front of him, took some gas out of it, put the car back together, put some gas in the motorcycle, and headed to the hospital. Koichi at that point he was trying to talk to this nurse, trying to get the room number, and the nurse wouldn't listen to him because he was young and he wasn't a relative to the user. So I just thought it was funny, and they wouldn't give him attention, so he had to we use his stand bill and knock something over. He said he wouldn't help her pick it up unless he told her the room number. So I thought it was just funny they had to do it. And then Josuke came out of nowhere on his motorcycle in the hospital and darts to that room where he's finding the guy. He's in the hospital bed, and he has 3 chicks.
Yeah.
But once he got there, Highway Star was already there and put a bunch of holes in Josuke's body. In order for Josuke to get his nutrients back, he had to use some of the user's IV. And he punched his leg to try to get him to talk. And then he's like, it's not fair that you got to hurt me, but I didn't hurt you. So he restored him back together and started beating the shit out of him. Once he got him back together, he's like, see, it's fair how he punched him so hard they went out the window and he went flying into a fountain. Alright, there's my one fight.
That was a great fight. I loved it.
Yeah, Tom, do you want to go next?
I want to talk about a fight from part 2, and that is Joseph versus Wamu. I thought the fight was really cool. That the whole fight takes place on these chariots, and
we got some Roman fights going on.
They're fighting each other while on chariots, and you have them doing laps around this arena, and you have some the Pillarmen's minions they're there holding up weapons for the first person to get there. They can get that weapon first, and they're gonna have an advantage against the other guy. So Joseph's all right, I'm gonna get there first. I'm gonna grab that sledgehammer and I'm gonna kick his ass with the sledgehammer. And so he gets the sledgehammer, but Wamu's that's cute. So he picks up the whole pillar to use that to fight smack Joseph with. So it's shit. And the second weapon that they hold up for them is there's two crossbows. One's huge and one's smaller. One's a normal sized crossbow. Joseph's all right, I'm gonna grab the bigger one first, because that one is obviously going to have more power. So he thinks that if he just has the bigger one, then he can finish off Wamu with one shot. But it's so huge that he can't even pull back the string. It's just it's too tight for him to be able to pull it back. So Wamu gets the smaller one, and he can easily load it. So it's well, it doesn't really matter if you have the one that has so much more power if you can't even load it. But just some plot device happens so he can pull it back in time and use it. And it's really cool when he shoots. It's they don't have I don't know why they didn't use actual arrows. They use these steel balls. I don't know why, but he shoots the steel ball at the wall, and it's it's going around in a circle around the arena, and it banks off this certain point, and that is when it hits Wamu, and Joseph's infused it with Hamon, so then it finishes him, and so that's how he wins that fight. Because he predicted like the shot, because it was like one of those type deals where like he shot past him and he's like, "Oh, you missed." And he's like, "No, I didn't." That type of deal. I feel like almost every battle anime has a scene like that. I think something similar to that same effect. I love it.
Good stuff. All right. I guess I'll do one. It's about this stand called Planet Waves. That's versing against Jolene, who is the protagonist of Part 6. And basically, what Planet Waves can do is it can attract meteors from the atmosphere
That is not fair.
towards its user. And so, as the meteor it's really big right in the sky, and as it comes closer to the user, it shrinks right as it comes through the atmosphere, and it never actually gets to hit the user. So what the guy has to do is he has to position himself in a way that the meteor will hit like Jolene before it gets to him, and she's obviously got to figure out why there's meteors falling from the sky because she has no idea. And
I noticed something.
Yeah.
Like every major battle series has someone has a power that has a meteor.
Fujitora, Madara.
And like, meteor rain in Toriko during the Heracles arc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's sort of true, but I find, I don't know, like this one is really iconic. It's not just, haha, here are heaps of meteors and it blows up the universe or whatever. But like, this actually uses the idea of like, what if meteors fell from the sky towards the sky, blah, 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 in a mental way. Like, how do I deal with this situation? And that's why I really love Jojo fights, because it's not just, here are meteors, here's my gigantic superpower. Here's this interesting ability, and here's an interesting way of how I'm going to deal with that. And yeah, that's the fight I wanted to talk about.
Alright, I guess we can move on to our last thing, and that is, how do you get into Jojo? This isn't Fate Stay Night, so you're not really that confusing what you start with. Well, first thing let's say is, avoid the OVAs from the 90s and early 2000s.
Like the plague.
It covers part 3, but it doesn't, it's like a recap, except for a really shitty version of a recap. Because it like cuts out the complete middle.
Yeah.
It's like you got the beginning and the end. And the 90s OVA started at the end, and the 2000 OVA started at the beginning, so it's just like, what the fuck?
It's all over the place.
There's no reason to watch it because Stardust Crusaders anime is airing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, in other words, you start with the 2012, or you read the manga. That's really all you have to do. It's not rocket science. You don't have to contemplate if I should watch. An example for Fate. Should I watch Fate Stay Night first? Should I watch Unlimited Blade Work first? Or should I watch Fate Zero first? You don't have to do anything like that. It's just watch the 2012 version and continue.
Yeah. I would say start at the anime as well. I mean, unless you are a manga or whatever, only reader, just start. Just go for it. Start at part 1 and just go.
Yeah, but just be careful with scans, since you can find some bad ones if you don't know where to watch.
That's true, yeah. Some of the old ones do have some pretty bad scans out there. But I mean, you don't really have an excuse when there's a physical release coming out, so...
Yeah, in hardcover, and it's awesome.
I know, it is. Yeah, not only that, don't get intimidated by how long the series is, because it is a very, very long series.
Yeah, and luckily, when you go onto like a site, they don't just have like 1 through 1,000 chapters. They're separated into each part. You'll have a part 1 in the site, then you'll have part 2, 3, and so on. You're not going to find a site that just has 1,000 chapters of JoJo. So, little breather room. You don't have to read it all in one go. It's like EPO where there's no break. There's no like part 1, part 2, and so on. You just get 1,000 chapters right off the bat.
Part 1 is the shortest part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only like 40 chapters, I think.
Yeah,
60, somewhere around there.
Yeah. No,
everything part 3 an hour is over 100 chapters.
And like the thing about it, though, is that it only gets better. Like in my opinion, JoJo like starts off, the volumes are shorter, so they're easy to get through, but they're not even as good as the later ones. So if you're not sure about it, it'll only get better as it goes.
Unless you're one of the people that does not like stands, because I found a couple of them, I think. Stands are useless and they just came out of nowhere, but I didn't want to spoil it earlier, but they do get explained where they come in part 4.
Yeah, we didn't go into the origins of them because it's spoiler territory, so there is a point to them. They do come from somewhere.
I think that's all we gotta talk about.
I think so.
Thanks for listening, guys.
We stopped recording. I want to give some shout outs because, like every other podcast you guys do, someone gives me a shout out. So, shout out to Brandon. I promised him I'd ask you this, Nick. Why do you suck?
I suck because everyone in the world, there is someone that has to suck. Out of your group of friends, there's always that one person that sucks. And I am that one person.
Also, shout out to Suomi. Invest in a fucking dictionary. Ryan would much appreciate it. Love you, though. And
I don't.
I'm my number one fan, Etienne. Love you guys.
Alright.
That's a wrap.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Alright.
That's a wrap.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Bye.